Greetings. Welcome to Dr. English's Book Lovers Book Club. I'm Dr. English and I teach English. This week I'm going to review the book Learning to Swear in America by Katie Kennedy. First of all, she in the back of her book she says Katie Kennedy is a history professor in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, closer to Wisconsin really. In college she studied Russian history. She has a son in high school and a daughter in college. This is her first novel. For her first novel, it's not a bad attempt. But it's important that she knows Russian history because there's a couple things in here that I just thought, okay, I really had to suspend my disbelief to read this book. I can say that. And the title is a great title, but it's like I don't know. It's such a vague reference to what's going on in this novel. It's like at the end, yeah, he finally learns how to swear, but it's just like it's kind of a misleading title from my perspective. And honestly, I had to suspend my disbelief. I did look up that there wasn't really an actual Moscow State University, so she maybe has gone to Moscow. And Yuri, the character in here, he's so lovable, but some of the other characters are so shallow and so. I feel like they were a little bit contrived. No offense to Katie Kennedy, but really Dovey and Lennon and the parents. It's just like she went back in the '60s and tried to, I don't know, maybe her parents were hippies. I don't know, but I'm just like, it wasn't very convincing to me. And it's like a stereotype of California, Pasadena, California, like we're all these old hippies. And it was just, I actually know real people who were hippies in the 60s and early 70s. So I was like, this is just sad in some ways. So in that regard, I wasn't really impressed by that. But Yuri is a person that you really can like a lot. But also, I was like a little bit skeptical about Yuri as well because I'm sorry, he's 17 years old and he has a PhD in physics, so, and the fact that it's about, he comes to the United States, he's brought to the United States um, to help physicists destroy an asteroid that is headed towards Earth. So it's a little bit of sci-fi, but not really. A lot of math, at the end she does say that, she did do some research and she had people help her with the math of it. But I'm like, I need to talk to my math people at the university to say, could you read this and tell me what you think of this? I mean, I don't know who her math person was, so I would recommend this. It was a quick read. I read it in like a day. And it's one that definitely you could teach this, but I don't think I wouldn't teach this book. But I definitely put it on my shelf and I'd probably, have students maybe read it in a book club. I just felt like some of the family, the hippie family was really contrived. Yuri carries the story because he's so innocent and he's in America for the first time. But all the stuff, he's at this propulsion lab in Pasadena for NASA. And I'm sorry, but there's just things that happen that's like, I don't think that would ever happen in real life. So that was you just have to suspend your disbelief. I won't tell you what it is because you would just laugh and say, I'm not going to read that book. I just felt like that there's no way that would ever happen. It's just, that's not going to happen. But to carry the storyline, it does, things happen. So, and I know that people, I mean, there have been, when the internet was new, there were things that happened where, young people hacked into, nuclear arms systems and things like that. But I think I actually contacted someone in the early stages when it was Unix. I was just typing in on the thing and I contacted someone I knew in Arizona who was working on a nuclear power plant. And he goes, how did you get my name? And I'm like, well, I just went online and I found it. So there were not real firewalls at the early stages of the internet. So, but this is beyond that. This is just like, it's just too, like I said, you have to suspend your disbelief. And so, if you can do that, you can read this and really enjoy it. One of the things that I thought was one of the funniest scenes of the book is Yuri is from, Moscow. He's a genius. He's a physicist genius. he's obsessed with winning the Nobel Prize. It's kind of funny in some ways. But yeah, clearly he's not only, genius physicist, but he's, and this is also to me a stereotype that the genius person is really socially awkward. He doesn't have any friends. He doesn't have a normal life. Like, he graduated high school at 12 and had a PhD in physics, by 17. So I guess I'd have to look it up. Maybe I could Google that. Are there actual 17-year-old PhDs from Russia? There may be. uh, but I do think one of the funnier parts of this is when he goes to the high school and he starts talking about American high schools, and it's just so funny. And so I'm going to read that from this because I get a kick out of, the cultural, um, barriers, for Yuri in this situation. But I know it's really hard for me to imagine that he didn't have any friends, but he may not have because he's just brilliant and was friends with the professors. So, Dovie is the name of the girl, Dovie, Dovie, and her brother's name is Lennon, and he says Lennon, and not that Lennon, Lenin. He's Lennon, as in John Lennon. And this whole idea of give peace a chance. But anyway, here's Dovey asking, "Did your day go okay?" Dovey asked. "Because mine didn't, and if I start complaining and it turns out you had a bad day too, I'll look like a jerk." He smiled. "I had a little bit of frustration, but nothing big. And I got very much done." He sat on the bed. "I want to hear about your day." "Excellent." She took a breath. "So I already told you my math teacher is an a-hole, right?" She paused. "I'll get to that. But there's this girl who's a jerk." "There are very many jerks in your school." "High school is a jerk zoo, Yuri. You should come down sometime and see the wildlife." He walked to the balcony window, holding the bed spread up with one hand, and he looked out over the city. His room faced away from Dovey's house, but it still made him feel closer. "So her name is Kelly, and she's annoying and hot, and she wears low-cut shirts every day. The dress code says your bra straps can't show. Well, her shirts cover the straps, but they sure don't cover anything else." Yuri hung his head for a moment. He was facing an incoming asteroid and a conversation with Dovey about another girl's breasts. One situation was incredibly dangerous, and it wasn't the BR 1019. I don't understand what is problem to you if this girl has too much showing." His accent turned the final G into a K. "I don't care what she's showing, Yuri, but she's in my art class and she makes lopsided crap and gets A's because the teacher's staring down her shirt the whole time." "You have horrible teachers." "Not all of them. The Spanish teacher is fabulous." "Okay, but are you getting a good grade in art?" "Yeah, I'm getting A's because I'm talented." He could hear her move around and wondered suddenly if she was in her bedroom. Maybe she was in her underwear too. It was almost like they were having sex. "Yuri, you there?" Oh, yes. "Anyway, tomorrow I have to get up and go back into the zoo. I wish I could take a whip with me, like a lion tamer." He was in his underwear talking with Dovey about breasts and whips. He fell backward on the bed. She was silent, and when she spoke, it was almost a whisper. "And I don't think I can stand to go to math tomorrow." "Algebra is still wearing at you? I could maybe help, you know." "No, you can't." "I can, I guarantee." "You don't understand. Once a month, Mr. Reynolds does this thing where we each have to solve a problem at the marker board." "Okay." "He keeps a snake in a tank by his desk and a tank of dwarf hamsters in the back of the room. They breed like crazy. And if you get your problem wrong, you have to choose a baby hamster and bring it up and feed it to the snake." He didn't say anything. "Yuri? Because you got problem wrong?" "Yeah." She started to cry softly. "We never get to the back row before all the babies are in the snake tank, but we sit alphabetically." "And your name starts with C?" "Yeah," she sniffed. "Principal allows this?" "Oh, yeah, you haven't met the principal. This is not way to motivate students." She made soft little gasps. "Dovey, I'm coming with you tomorrow." Meteor, hello," Dovey said. "No, I got very much done today. I will be okay." "You seriously want to come to school with me?" "I can't hold up fingers when teacher's not looking, so everybody gets problems right." "He'll just make them harder." Yuri snorted. "Oh, yeah," she said, was silent for a moment. "He'll feed them to the snake later. But you won't have to see it." "Yeah, that would be nice." Besides, I want to see this American jerk zoo. Huh? She was silent for a moment. I'll be by it at 7:30. Wear the most casual clothing you've got. Yuri hung up, smiling. He had a mission. He was a hamster savior. Then he turned to the hanging bar by the bathroom. Which suit was more casual, the gray or the black? And then the next chapter is about him going to the school and all the thing he experiences. He goes with her to these PE and other classes, and he sees what American schools are like. But then he goes to the math class too, and I won't give it away because he wants to save the hamsters from the snake. And it's clear that he's a genius and he can do algebra, with his eyes closed. So there are some scenes in there that are pretty funny. And I think it's a fun read. So books like this, like most of the books, after having been an English teacher and read so much literature, I just call these brain candy. This one is definitely brain candy. So if you need a little brain candy, I highly recommend this. This is a book you could teach in school, but I feel like you could teach it, but I feel like does it fall under the category of literary merit? I'm not sure about this. I feel like it's just a fun book that you could put on your book on yourself for kids to have to read as as brain candy. You could do it as obviously I did it as a book club because it was one of the books on the list of books that I had for all of our group activities. We did novel panels, we had book clubs, and then we did literature circles. And so this was one of the choices that a group of students made. So I don't know that I could highly recommend it, but I could recommend it for the purpose of a fun read, because I did read it really quickly. And so in that regard, you really do want to know how things, transpire with the asteroid. And if you're like me, I've always been a Star Trek, Star Wars fan. So all of those things in math and space always has entertained me. So I wanted to find out what happens. So that's why I read it really quickly. Next week, I'm going to review a book by Evan Roscos. I think it's called Dr. Bird's Advice for Sad Poets. That's another one that I feel like, oh, the titles are great, and I'm just like, oh, I hope I'm not disappointed. So join me next week as I review this book by Evan Roscos, Dr. Bird's Advice for Sad Poets. Thanks for joining me today. See you next week. Bye.